undisputed junior welterweight champion of the world. From Omaha, Nebraska.
In favor of the winner, remaining undefeated, proving he is one of the elite champions of the sport.
The fight, it is over. Canelo gets the knockout.
Deontay Wilder has eradicated Dominic Brazil. He is the
Man, it's your favorite channel, man. It's CTB. This is Chance Up Boxing. I'm your boy Jay Slay. Say what up to him, man.
What's up, everybody? Remember to like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification button. You know why? Because we love boxing and you love boxing.
That is a fact, most definitely. What we got in the menu for him today, bro?
Let's give a recap on this Brian Castano versus Jermell Charlo fight.
Oh, man, let's serve him up, man. Let's talk about it. Yeah, man, it was a good fight, man. We kind of called it. I was wrong in my prediction, even though, well, we kind of both was wrong. We never called a draw. But I knew I was wrong because I called a mid the round stoppage, which was almost there, man. He almost had the guy out of there in the mid rounds. Castano, man, had a bigger heart than we expected, which was part of my strengths that I gave him. And he showed out, man. To be honest, he showed out. He wound up having a better night than expected, and Charlo wound up having a worse night than we expected. So let's start off with there, man. Let's start with what you thought of the fight, man. Let's start off what you thought about how Castano looked.
Castano looked like I thought he would for the most part. I told people in our last video about the fight, I said the guy had heart, he was tough, and that his way he can win the fight is by volume punching, by staying busy, by throwing a lot of punches. Even if he didn't land clean with his punches, he could steal a lot of rounds from Charlo. And that's pretty much what happened in the fight. Charlo, for some reason, which I didn't expect, he stayed on the ropes. He put his back on the ropes way too much. In the back end of the fight, if you realize, when he stayed off the ropes and he stayed in the center of the ring or just didn't move back, he was getting the better of Castano. The only time Castano got the better of Charlo is when he went back to the ropes and Castano outworked him and got good body shots in, and he would land a couple, but it was enough to steal a lot of those rounds. And I didn't understand his game plan. In the first half of the fight, I said, okay, maybe he's just trying to let the guy tire himself out a little bit. And then the second half, I thought he was going to press the gas and come forward, because to me, from watching that fight, Castano don't seem like he's a great fighter when he's fighting on his back feet. So I thought that Charlo would push him back and start being aggressive second half of the fight. And he just was way too patient. And we talked about that too, that sometimes he waits too long looking for this big shot or this big counter shot, and he sits around and he's not active enough. And he was just giving away rounds. And I give Jermell his credit for the back end of the fight, because I had him down by 3 rounds at the end of the 9th round. I said he pretty much, we was texting each other back and forth. Our cards was almost similar, but slightly different by like 1 round. And I said, man, at this point, he kind of need at least a knockdown just to win, because I said, even if he win the 10th, 11th, and 12th round, it would only be a draw on my card. And he ended up winning for me the 10th, 11th, and 12th round. But I thought he needed a knockdown to get the win, or at least a knockout at that point. So to me, the fight, I was kind of disappointed in Jermell, but Castano showed what type of fighter he was and that he's somewhat of the real deal from what I see. I would love to see the rematch. And I think that the cards came out pretty right. I said, even if you thought Castano 175, cool. If you thought Jermell 175, that's cool. And if you thought it was a draw, that's cool. I don't think it was a robbery, because people forget when you say, oh man, I had him up by 2. That means that if you had 1 round that was off, that was different from somebody else, that's the difference between a 6-6 draw and a 7-5 for either or. So that's what I came up with in the fight.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Castano fought his heart out that night, man. He took some hard shots and he came right back. I can't remember what exact round it was, but Charlo hit him with a hard shot and he was on his back foot. He had Charlo swinging wild out there. Charlo couldn't land anything. The 10th round, Charlo was trying his best to get him out of there, but Castano, he just had better feet than Charlo to me. His feet was on point. Coming in, cutting the rope, cutting the ring off. His awkward way of coming in on Charlo had Charlo befuddled. So it wasn't so much Charlo's fault for sitting on the ropes. It was more so educated feet. Like Castano had educated feet in that ring. He had educated pressure, man, and Charlo wasn't prepared for that. Charlo, like I said in the pre-fight interview, Charlo has the ability to box. We've seen it. He has a great jab. He tried to throw the jab as much as he wants to, but I think Castano put him on the back foot and turned Charlo into a counterpuncher. Like you said, when he turned to a counter puncher, then he looked for big shots. This is the only way he know how to counter punch is to counter punch you with a big shot. Castano knew that, man. His trainers knew that. They had it in the game plan, and it worked to a T, man. I'm being honest, it worked to a T. Other than the few mistakes that Castano made when he did get hit, to me, I thought he did a hell of a fight, man. I thought he did a perfect fight almost, except for the moments he was hurt. If it wasn't for those moments of him being hurt in that fight, he probably would have won the fight pretty easily, bro. I'm being honest. If he wasn't rocked in those 2 rounds. But yeah, let's talk about Charlo real quick, man. What were some of the flaws you seen that caused Charlo to give him so much issues with Castano?
Like I said, Charlo's main issues was his activity was way too low. I mean, I think, like I said, we talked about it on last video. Well, y'all go back and watch the last video we were giving our predictions. I said that because of the big knockouts with Lubin and Rosario and what he did with Harrison, he became kind of fascinated with these knockouts. You know, so he's setting up these guys for this one big shot. Even if you go back and watch his last fight with Harrison, he was losing that fight. He got the knockdown the first and second round, and then Harrison came back and was outboxing him, and then he caught Harrison kind of late and knocked him down. Then the next round finished it off. But he was losing that fight because he was being way too patient, sitting back waiting for this big shot. And I think that was his weakness. He was just sitting back and then had his backs on the ropes for the whole fight. And like you said, Castano was giving his educated pressure because I thought Castano was more of a, you know, he would just do a lot of volume punches and he could catch Castano, but Castano would kind of like, he would throw a couple shots, but he was real responsible as far as his defensive responsibility. He was on point. So even though he was aggressive, he still made sure that his defense was on point, which is shocking to me because I thought because of him being so aggressive and being a volume puncher, it would open him up for a big punch with Charlo. And I think that's what Charlo expected too, but Castano was on his game.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was like around round 9 or so. After round 9, I text you. I said Charlo need a knockout to win because I thought Charlo was gonna continue to fight that same fight. If he would continue to fight with his back on the ropes, that the rest of the, like you said, the 9th, 10th, and 11th, 12th round, he would have lost it easily. So I remember texting you that Charlo needed a knockout to win. That's what I felt he was waiting for. I felt he was sitting back waiting for a knockout. I said, well, he gonna need that knockout if he fight like this. So, but.
And I give Derek James his credit too because he gave Charlo the real, because I think if he never told Charlo he was losing and that he needed to knock this guy down and knock him out, I think Charlo would have continued to do what you said he was doing. I think that urgency kicked in when Derek James told him in the 9th round, said, man, you losing the fight. And he came out and told him, and a lot of times trainers have a hard time telling him fight, or they don't want to tell him the truth. And he came out and told him, man, you losing this fight. And he kind of looked at Derek like, huh? Because he really thought that he was putting on the boxing masterpieces. I don't know what he was thinking. But
no, I just think he was surprised that Derek James told him that in the corner. He probably, man, fighters know, man. You know when you having a tough time with somebody. He knew he was having a tough time catching Castano again with a clean shot. He know Castano had him on the ropes, but he was surprised that Derek James told him that. That's why I really think it was. He was more so like, "Then you really believe I'm losing?" So they kind of like hurt his pride a little bit. It was more of a pride harm than a surprise harm that makes the difference. But I remember texting you that. I remember texting you saying, "Yo, he need a knockout because he's waiting for it." And then if he kept waiting for it and it never show up, he was going to keep losing rounds. He was going to wind up losing rounds. I think the only difference between me and your last 3 rounds was I gave Castano the 11th. I gave Castano the 11th because the first half of the 11th round, Charlo wasn't doing nothing. He sat on the ropes and only threw. I think they even announced that. The ringside announcer even said that Charlo need to get busy this round. He only threw 15 punches. And I said, yeah, he been getting his ass whooping this round. It was a lot of shoe shine punches from Castano because he was tired, of course. But it was he was trying to keep Charlo in the corner, keep him bottled up. So I gave him that round because of that. He had range ownership. He made Charlo look bad, and Charlo wasn't doing much. I think in the second half of the fight, Charlo tried to steal the round. And that's why I think a lot of the judges saw that and gave it to Charlo because he landed a heavier shot that round. But I don't judge my fight like that. I judge my fights based off of the entirety of the round. So I gave the 11th round to Castano, and that's how I had Castano 75. Let's talk about the judges, man. Let's talk about the 11th, what was it, 9-round lead that they had for Charlo.
Yeah, 117 to 111.
Yeah, let's talk about that, man. What was your thoughts when you heard that scorecard announced?
That was horrible. That judge needs to be suspended probably because there's no way Charlo won 9 rounds. I don't know what he was seeing. I don't know what he thought Charlo was doing because he wasn't aggressive, he wasn't throwing punches. So I don't know what he saw to get him 9 rounds. I'm glad that it didn't decide the outcome of the fight, because if that was the card, or if another judge had it a similar way, then it would have been a robbery, or it would have been put a black eye on the sport to me. I feel like this is a saying I say in boxing: if it's a close fight and you're the underdog, you're always gonna win in the fans' eyes, or it's gonna be considered a robbery. And that's always the case. If you go back to any fight where you have a big underdog in a fight, and if the underdog is outperforming what a lot of people thought he was going to do, and he's in a close fight and he don't win, people gonna say he got robbed. That's always in boxing. So I know a lot of people upset today, and they want to say it was robbery, or that's bull crap, or the PBC Al Heyman trying to help Charlo out when Castano was a PBC fighter too. Y'all forget. So I don't know where y'all came with that. So it don't matter who was undisputed, it was gonna be a PBC fighter that was gonna be an undisputed champion of the world. So I don't think Al Heyman cares about who won the fight. But that's just the take from it. But yeah, the scorecards were pretty good on the other 2 cards, because one for Castano, one was for Charlo for 115, 113, which I said 7-5 was fine for me. But the 117, 111 was ridiculous.
I agree with the other 2 judges also. Like I said, I could see why you would say the draw. I think one judge called it a draw, and the other judge called it.
114.
And the other judge had a same card I had. He had Castano up 2 rounds. I agree with those 2 cards. I just think the other scorecard was more of a home cooking, to be honest. You say Al Heyman and them. I don't think Al Heyman fixed the fight per se. I think that being in Texas, Castano not really a big name more than Charlo. I think those 2 played a role in that judge's scorecards. I think he kind of like a home court advantage type thing. He gave Charlo the home court advantage, in my opinion, and like he counted a lot of extra points. Pretty much, we got a saying about most fighters when they got that home cook advantage, the home court advantage. Most of them fighters, they already got a three round lead before the fight even started. I think it was one of those things where Charlo came in the ring on that judge's mind with already a 3-point lead. So Castano had to knock him down and knock him out for that judge to even give him the draw, which was kind of weird. Just think about that shit. Just for Castano to get that draw on that judge's scorecard, he needed to knock down Charlo twice at least, just to get the draw on that man's card, which is asinine to me. So yeah, but I wouldn't call it robbery either. But I will say Castano deserved that win, man. I'm gonna say that. Now, can he do it again? Is the question. Now some people saying they're talking immediate rematch. I hope they do that, because Castano deserves another payday, and Charlo needs to prove that he's pound for pound, because he's trying to get on that pound for pound list and break the top 10. And the only way Charlo can do that is if he beat these tough fights and win these tough fights. So I hope they do the immediate rematch. But with that being said, though, rematches tend to tell the truth. Rematches usually come out in the how can I say, the fighter who performs not like themselves in the previous fight usually shows up for the rematch. So with that being said, man, if it is a rematch, man, how do you see it going if that happened to fight again?
I see it being another entertaining fight, and I see what I thought he was gonna do. I think he's gonna keep the same. Charlo's gonna keep a similar game plan the first half of the fight, but I think the second half of the fight he's gonna press. I still think I don't want to say he's gonna stop Castano, because Castano is tough, but I think he at least knock him down or put him on his tail 1 or 2 times, because I think he's gonna be a little bit more aggressive and stay in the center of the ring. I think he's gonna watch the fight with Derek, and they gonna sit back and say, man, when you was in the middle of the ring and you was anywhere in the ring other than on the ropes, you was controlling the fight, which means that just stay off the ropes, because that's the only time Castano felt comfortable enough to unload his shots. And when he was in the middle of the ring, he became hesitant. He seemed to be a little confused to me, like he didn't know what he wanted to do, when Charlo was just standing his ground. Even if you don't want to back him down and come forward, if you just stand your ground and not go backwards, Castano wasn't as aggressive as he was when he's on the rope. Once he seen his backs touch the rope, that's when he let off shots. And on some of those exchanges, if you look again, they showed the replay. Some of them he didn't even hit Charlo clean. Some of them he did. But the point is, if you're looking at the fight from the judge's point of view, you can't help but get Castano those rounds when he's putting in the work and you just throwing a little lazy jab or jab and you just moving around the ring, sitting back waiting for 1 or 2 shots every round. So I think that's gonna be the big change in the fight. I think he won't stay on the ropes. He'll stay in the center of the ring. He'll continue to box, but I think he'll be a little bit more aggressive. And I think he'll pull out a win 8-4, and he'll get a knockdown.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the back on the ropes. I don't think he'll have his back on the ropes as much. I think he'll learn from those mistakes. Like I said, Castano surprised a lot of people. Not because a lot of people didn't know his name, but more so because the style clash and the styles just happened to match up that way. We both knew that Castano threw a lot of punches. We were just more so surprised that Charlo wasn't capitalizing on a lot of the openings that Castano was leaving, because there wasn't really many openings. Like you said earlier, he was defensively responsible in most of the fight. But I think Castano rose to the occasion and Charlo didn't. So I think in the rematch, if it happens, I think Charlo will rise to the occasion and he will show that he's a superior, not only superior puncher because he is, but he's also the superior. He has more weapons than he showed in that fight, and I think in the rematch will show that. So while I won't give a prediction right now on who will win, I will say that it will be a more clear winner in that fight, in my opinion. But like I said, I think Castano showed what he got. He showed all he could show, and Charlo didn't. So, in my opinion, it's possible that Charlo might pull it out there for it again. Yeah, that's to this topic.
I got one question for you. Just one quick question. Unless it's something to do with the money, because sometimes when a guy get a draw and he feel like he's adding more value, sometimes he can outprice himself for a fight. If that doesn't happen, and it just say Charlo say, I don't want to fight Castano again, I want to move on to another fight, even though it's for undisputed, what would that say about Charlo, and what would that make you feel about how he felt about the fight if he finds a way to try to say he don't want to fight the guy again?
You can look at that one or two ways. But Charlo did have tough back-to-back fights. Like he probably had one of the toughest last 4 fights in boxing that most other fighters had. Castano, while I wouldn't say Castano was a tune-up, he was a champion also. Castano was a tougher fight than he anticipated. So if I'm Charlo, I could look at a in-between fight one or two ways. Either you need another fight to build up, or you need another fight to quote-unquote set your game plan right, or you obviously ducking that smoke. I don't see Charlo doing that though. I don't see Charlo ducking from Castano. I think Charlo will want to go right back in there. Cause while it was a tough fight and Charlo was visibly hurt sometimes in that fight, which a lot of people overlook, but he was visibly hurt in some of them shots. He still wasn't hurt to the point where, as far as we know, he could also had an injury that he didn't report. As far as we know, Charlo was one of those type of guys who could have had an injury and just went into the fight anyway. So if that's not the case, if he don't have an injury and he's not trying to have a fight to see if his injury is healed before he get back in there with Castano, then it's a duck to me, to be honest. I can only see that one way. Like, either you healthy enough to fight the man again and get undisputed, or you ain't.
Yeah, I feel the same. If, like I said, unless it's an injury or something like that, if he ducks around Castano, then that's a telling factor to me, because to me, I think it could be a confidence thing. Maybe it's something about Castano's style that he just don't like and don't want to deal with. But if it was just a regular fight, then I would say, okay, he just want to move on from it. But being that it's for undisputed and you can make history and be the first 4-belt holder in a 154-pound division, and to duck around that and not fight that would be telling to me. So I think that needs to be his next fight, unless, like you said, he has an injury, or if Castano gets kind of a big head and want to say, I want 50-50 or something, because I feel like me and you got a draw and I should get the same cut, which is not true, because Charlo is the bigger draw. But other than that, if it's not one of those two reasons that we just named, then I would be disappointed in Charlo.
I'm gonna be honest. In close, I'm gonna be honest. If I'm Castano though, I wouldn't want to fight in Texas again. If I'm Castano, I think now, I think after that fight, I think if I'm Castano, I wouldn't ask for a bigger cut per se. If I don't need a bigger cut, I don't know what his cut was. I don't watch pockets again, so I don't know what he got paid for the fight. But if I'm Castano, I definitely wouldn't want that fight in Texas again. If I'm Castano, I'm like, okay, the fight was big enough now. People know my name. Can we have this fight in Vegas now? Can we have this fight in LA now? Because I'm not going back to his home state again for those 117, 111 scorecards. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, man, you got anything else you want to add to this topic?
No, I think we covered it all.
Cool, man. With that being said, it's your favorite channel, man. This CTB. This Chin Tuck Boxing. I'm your boy Jay Slay. Cut him out of here, man.
Okay, everybody subscribe, notification button, comment, hit the like button. The like button helps our channel grow and let more people see the video. So if you just watching right now, just click that like button for us, man. I really appreciate it. Also, logo at the bottom of the screen. Just click on and subscribe to the channel more. We got a lot more stuff coming for you. But most of all, God, peace and love, and we out of here.